Hi everyone, Lisa here from LC Designs. Welcome to Workshop Wednesday. I have another pre-recorded video for you because I am on my way home from California from my sister's services. And I also had a bridal shower, which was nice. So it was really nice to see a bunch of friends and family. And, a lot of times, unfortunately, it's the bad times or sad times that we see all of our family and friends. So, hug all your family and friends a little tighter the next time you see them, or just pick up the phone and call them and let them know that you love them, because we just don't know. But anyhow, I will be live next Wednesday. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the holiday catalog and the online exclusives. There's a lot of fun online exclusives. I have a lot of classes ready for you. I do have my Let's Create Card Club, which is using the Just Notes. I will put a registration link where you could click on it and get all the details as well. Be sure and share my video. Again, you can share it on Facebook or YouTube, and I will enter you into a prize drawing. Just commented that you shared it. And if you're watching me on YouTube, please like or subscribe to my page. I do usually do a live video every Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. Again, I'm traveling back today, so it is a pre-recorded video. But they're always up on YouTube in case you miss them. And then on my tutorials, so the tutorial for this week, will have the video link. So then that way you could always refer back to the video along with the tutorial. All right, I think that is it for right now. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's get started with our project. So this is our card for today. Pretty simple to make. Just, a lot of little layers. But this is a online exclusive, and it's called that's this one, Gathering Moments. But this is the whole suite. There's even an embossing folder that I didn't even pull out and use. We are going to use the Cajun Craze and gold dots, the linen thread, the designer series paper, gorgeous. I'll show you the stamp set and the dies. But this is in the online exclusive portion on my website. And just a reminder, the mini catalog is now live. So be sure and go shopping for some goodies in that. So here's the Gathering Moments stamp set. I love, 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 love fall. So I'm doing a fall card. Look at these big giant dies. There's two of them, and then there's the smaller ones that I've already pulled out what we're going to use today, and then the stamp sets. Every time they come out with the fall stamp set and dies, I immediately buy it. But now let's look at this gorgeous designer series paper. So actually I probably have a lot pulled out because we're doing this for our sweet surprise this month. But look at how pretty this gold is. This plaid. I always love plaid. This is the one we're using today. So I got to see if I have enough, or I might have to go. Oh yeah, I do. Right here. So it's got that old olive on the back. This one is gorgeous. I love it has the gold in it. Anything with some sort of bling. Here's this one. Look at how pretty. Now these, just the designer series paper alone, makes your cards. Look at this one, the gold plaid. And then it's got early espresso. And then there's this one. Now I haven't used early espresso as a card base in quite some time. So let's get this out of the way. But this designer series paper definitely took me there. And here is the Cajun Craze and gold dots. A lot of people don't really care for Cajun craze, but I use it all the time, especially during fall. So let's start out with our card base, which is going to be 4 1/4 by 11. So 4 1/4 right there by 11. We're going to score it in half at 5 1/2, because 5 1/2 is half of 11. I will get my bone folder and burnish that. But I'm going to cut some basic beige. So I'm using basic beige today instead of white, basic white. So we need a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, because that is going to be our layer on the outside. Want to make sure I wrote my measurements correct. And then we're going to need a 5 1/4 by 4. Yeah, we're just going to take a smidgen off of this because this is going to be the inside. So 5 1/4 by 4. This is the inside. And then we're going to cut our early espresso designer series paper. And on the back side is this old olive that we're going to use. But we're going to just cut it all on the early espresso side. So we're going to cut it at 2 inches. No, 4 inches. We're going to cut it at 4 inches. And then we need 2 pieces at 2 inches. That's where I got my 2 inches at. So 2, and then 2, and then that center piece is going to be 1. So it's up to you. You can flip it over because we're going to use the old olive side. But if you want, you know, like I said, we could just cut it all here, and then you're just going to flip that piece over. So those are the pieces of designer series paper we need. So let's go ahead and burnish our fold. I don't want to get these pieces mixed up because this is 5 1/4 by 4, and this is 4 1/8. So see, you just have that 1/8. So this is for our outside. So there could be, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, that's a lot of paper to waste. So we can possibly do our banner. The only thing is where you die cut it is kind of, you want to do it in the center so that it hides behind the banner. So let's try it so you know what I'm talking about. So instead of putting this whole layer of cardstock, people like to use, you know, die cut. I do a lot of times. It was just this one with the gaps between the paper. You might see it. So I'm going to put this right here like so and kind of figure maybe where I'm going to place my banner on the front. If this doesn't work, we can use another piece of cardstock. But I'm just showing you a way that you can use, you know, so it's not being wasted because it's being hidden anyway. So does that make sense? Let me move my stuff. So here's where this will kind of get a little tricky. So I'm going to pull out my silicone mat because if you're going to put glue on your cardstock or your designer series paper, it's going to, you know, get through the hole. But we'll just go ahead and put some and let's see how this is going to work. So I am going to put this with a slight border on the sides and the top. And then I'm doing my other piece at the bottom first. I always like to do like the top and bottoms or the sides before I do the center, because in that way you could see where your center needs to go. You could line it up between them. So these silicone mats are great. So look, this is just the back side again, and we're just going to flip it over. And technically, we only need glue there. but it doesn't hurt because this is getting glued to our base. So it's, again, your personal preference. So see how I said there's going to be this? So you just have to make sure that you're going to put your banner where the opening is. Okay, makes sense? So now, since we did this one, move our silicone mat. This is going to get glued to the card front. We could add some more glue in there. But again, it's your preference. If you don't want to waste that whole piece of cardstock, you might have been able to cut 2 banners because these pieces will cut. You could have did them this way, but I don't. Then our banner wouldn't cover it. So there's our front of our card. So now let's do all this other stamping and die cutting. Now all this is from scraps. I think I had cut this. I got this piece for the banner, so we don't need that. Since these are all, I just pull them out of my scraps. I save all my scraps, and what I do is I put them in our clear envelopes, and then I put them inside like magazine holders, and I have them according to colors, like blues and oranges and reds and pinks. You know, they all match. So we are going to stamp. This is what I'm calling the medium leaf in Cajun Craze. So we only need 1. And I'm going to close that. We're going to use that again later. We need a large leaf is what I'm calling, even though those other ones are big, since we're not using them on this project. So a large leaf in crushed curry. And these are distinctive stamps, so it has that texture in it. It's not missing the ink. That's the way it's supposed to look, just so you know. And then now we're going to do Old Olive, and I'm calling this a sprig. I did not know what else to call it, so we're going to do a sprig. And again, these are all just scraps of paper that I put out. Don't press too hard because you see what I did there. I got a little bit of ink. I almost stuck my finger in the ink pad. And then last but not least, we are going to do our acorn, but we're going to stamp it, in early espresso ink on crumb cake. And this is like just a little, I think, 1-inch strip. So I'm going to move that aside, get these out of the way. We're going to need that Cajun Craze. Okay, so now let's die cut all these. Back to the die cutting machine. And each of these has its own die. So let's move this one over here, this one here, and then that way our little acorn fits. Okay, here's our sprig. And I'm probably going to tape all of these down since I have so many dies. If we hadn't cut out that banner, you would be cutting that out in basic beige. Okay, where's our little acorn? Trying to get these dies off of my magnetic sheet. Okay, here's our medium. See how they move? So that's why we want to use this tape. I might have to cut another piece for our little acorn, unless I could get that to stay perfect. Stay. All right, so here we go. Cutting these ones. All right. I'll take all of those off. There's our little acorn. Isn't that so cute? Little acorn. I've already been creating so much with this set. It's like I said, I love fall. When they have dies and stamps that coordinate, I am in for it. I don't know if fall's kind of one of my favorite times a year. I don't know if it's because my birthday's in November, if that has anything to do with it. So what we're gonna do, let's grab our card. I guess we could say sample. So I'm layering these by with dimensionals. Oops, got my black ones on there. So I started out putting my large leaf in the center, like so. And then we can put and these can hang over, you know, because it's still in the card. I put this one like so. And then our sprig, it went on top. So what I did is I put my dimensional down first, and then I'm gonna go like that. And then now our acorn is going to get glued on, and we're gonna put it right there in the center. Easy peasy, right? So let's go back to our card front, get some more dimensionals, and we're gonna add this to our card front. And you know, you could just stamp these leaves that's what I love about these. It's like you could just stamp these leaves all over a piece of basic white cardstock, and you're gonna have, so I'm trying to cover up where we had die cut. You're gonna have your own like designer series paper. Let me grab my twine. I forgot. Or linen thread. So this is new, Early Espresso and Old Olive. Yes, please. I love linen thread. I know, I love a lot of things, right? So we're just going to tie a double bow. So I just fold it in half and make our bow. These are going to be our, I don't know what to call these. I never know what to call those pieces. Wings, legs. I don't know, the pieces at the bottom. And then we can use a glue dot. I'm probably going to have to trim that other. This one is just a little bit longer. All right. And then, oops, this is already stuck. I feel like it's on crooked. Does it look crooked? So anyhow, we'll move that aside. So now we're going to stamp the inside. We're not done with our mini thanks, but we're going to go expressing heartfelt gratitude. And I always want to stamp before I adhere it, because then that way if I make a boo-boo, I can flip the cardstock over and, flip it over and stamp on the other side. So now we're going to stamp this medium leaf, again, in Cajun Craze. Remember I told you we were going to need it. So we're just going to kind of do it at an angle and full strength. And then I'm going to turn it and do it stamped up, not re-ink. So there's our inside. Again, so easy. So let's adhere this to the inside, and then we're going to go back outside. I've been doing a lot of cutting with my paper trimmer, and I could see I probably need to change my blades. I have done my retreats. I have done my sweet surprises, classes, and I need to change because that's where this is coming. But okay, now let's go. Let's close this up. And then I just needed a little piece of this basic beige. I couldn't think. I keep wanting to say Early Espresso, but I think I was thinking about the the ink. So I like this font. What are your guys' thoughts on the font? It's very thin, I know, but I like it. It seems delicate. Okay, so we're gonna stamp that. I'm gonna need to clean all those. And of course, you know me, we're fussy cutting. So I'm gonna just trim this off. But I like the look of the fussy cutting. So we're just gonna go, remember, move your paper, not your scissors. And I think I might have got a little bit too close to my H there. But just turn, cut. And then sometimes, you know how the letters are like that? Look, just go like that. And it looks like you're trimming around the letters. And back around. Let's go in, out, around. I feel like I'm making a song. In, out, around. Or a chair. Yay, team. I know, I'm silly. All right, and then again, and just, you could go in and out, and trim. All right, so then we are going to add some dimensionals. You might have to cut them in half, depending on how thick you do it. You know, like so. You could even use a mini dimensional. Look, sometimes we could use these little. Am I gonna cut that too big? Maybe we can put this fumbly. I got fumbly fingers. That might be too big. We'll just stick that over here. It would probably be better that I grabbed mini dimensionals, but since I don't have my white ones handy, we're gonna use this, oops, black one right here. So you can, on my other one, I had cut all mine, and I'm not sure why these ones are not fitting. Okay, so we're just gonna put that right, move it over a little bit more center, like so. And then these beautiful Cajun crates. Like I said, I like Cajun crates. People, some are like, they like it or they don't. Kind of like with Halloween. It's either you like it or you don't. We're going to add a large, a medium, and a, small over here. My bow could be maybe a little tighter. But that is it. Was that not a quick card or what? Super quick and easy. You could do this exact same card with that other beautiful pieces of designer series paper and create the same thing. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will be back live next week since I'm traveling back today. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. Bye.